Rebecca, we're always being told banks are too risk averse, or they're too risky, they like too much or they like too little. How does a bank work out what's an acceptable level of risk?
We look across a broad spectrum, really. So we'll look at the business plan, which we were alluding to earlier on, is so important to have put together. So you've thought through the different risks that are inherent in your business, that are inherent in your market, that you've looked at your competitors, you've seen what sort of opportunity you have out there. Then we'll look at your finances, so how do you plan on financing yourself, how do you plan on financing the business? We'll also look at the individual themselves, so what experience have you got in the market, what research have you done, what prior roles have you had in businesses at a senior level, and then we'll try and have a look at what the industry is. So is the industry a particularly risky industry? Is there something we need to counsel you on, advise you about within that market? And then we'll price for risk as well, so there'll be an element of risk that's within the pricing that you'll get from your bank.
Dennis, a lot of startups are asked to put up a personally guarantee, perhaps their house. Why is that? How does that work?
Well, essentially, the banks will look to secure the loan as a contingency measure to the inability of the business to generate sufficient cash to service the debt. Security is always the sort of last resort. It's where there is insufficient cash generated within the business, or it cannot continue to trade. So we'll always look as a last resort to security within the business, whether that's the debtors or the property, and if there's insufficient, then we'll look towards the directors of the company.
And should a startup going to see the bank always expect to be asked to do that?
Not always, but in most instances. In addition to the security that's available within the company or within the individual, if we have a viable business case, what there is available is a government-backed scheme, the Enterprise Finance Guarantee. And it's for those businesses that have got a viable case but haven't got sufficient security to satisfy the bank's usual requirements.
And how does that actually work? How does the government get involved?
Well, the government will effectively guarantee a portion of the loan to the bank. So it will risk share in the loan facility alongside the bank.
And is that something that you would advise people to take advantage of if they're eligible?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, it's an excellent scheme.
Rebecca, I suppose a connected question. People's own personal finances are very intertwined with their business finances. Should you try to keep those separate?
I'd encourage you to keep them as separate as you can, but obviously there will be some crossover, particularly in a very small micro-enterprise. The banks will start to look at your personal credit history if you don't have a business credit history, so they'll be looking at the way that you've performed previously. If you have anything that you want to make them aware of, such as a prior bankruptcy, missed payments, late payments, have a think through those before you come and talk to the bank, so you can explain what you did to address those issues and how you've managed through them, so that you're not coming and feeling as though you're under attack about your personal credit history. But yes, I would advise you to try and keep them as separate as you can, but they will be a factor.
And is there anything you can do to make your credit rating better? I mean, you can't change history, but is there anything you can do to make yourself more appealing?
You can certainly be aware of it. So I'd encourage anyone who's taking up finance to go online, use Experian, use the other tools that are out there to check what their credit history looks like, because quite often there are things on there that you might not be aware of that would affect your credit history, or things sometimes are put on there incorrectly. So it's worthwhile making sure that there isn't anything that would adversely affect you that you do need to address.